what's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 55. Here with my guy, Breton. How are you?
I am still buzzing. I am still buzzing. Man, was that a week of football? And I'm just going to throw it right out to you. Who you got? Real Madrid or Liverpool?
Damn, boy, but that's the start that people want to see. And look, right at the start, we're going to go Champions League predictions over here. And I am going to say I am edging with Liverpool. And I have a reason why, people. I've got a reason why. But yes, I got to say it. What a two legs that was. Real Madrid against Man City. I got to say, the best two legs of football I've seen in the past 4 or 5 years. Definitely in the Champions League. So big up to City, to being a worthy adversary to the biggest and the best team in the history of football, because the Champions League say it, Real Madrid. So, yeah.
My goodness. I think about who they had to get through, Real Madrid. I mean, we're talking PSG, we're talking Chelsea, and we're talking Manchester City, and now they've got to vanquish Liverpool. And after recent Premier League results and things like that, I'm gonna have to be Real Madrid's fan here. I think I shouldn't say I'm gonna be their fan. I have to say that Real Madrid is coming into this with momentum. They already have La Liga tied up. Hell, they got Jesus Vallejo on the field. You're talking about a kid that I didn't even know still existed in many places. No offense to him,
FM legend.
But they got him on the field 5 minutes in that game. But they also got him a start versus Espanyol. I don't know if he played in their game versus Atletico over the weekend. But when it comes down to it, I feel like Real Madrid only has to focus on what?
True.
The Champions League final. And if this were like Pep in the Champions League final, I would say he's going to overthink it and he's going to truly blow it. But I believe that this is Carlo Ancelotti. He's won them before.
True.
And I honestly believe that Real Madrid will get it done. I think Liverpool has the better team, but having the better team, and we're going to go through it, having the better team does not guarantee the better team wins.
True.
Okay.
True. I'll give it to you. They have a better team. But the things that I say, Real Madrid they have the best player. Real Madrid have the best player in both Liverpool and Real Madrid, which is Karim, the Dream, Benzema. But the other point is, who's the better coach? And I am gonna edge with Jurgen Klopp this season ahead of Ancelotti. But I know Ancelotti got amazing feat by getting 5 league titles in 5 different countries. So first manager to ever do it. But it's pretty big. But what I gotta highlight, like Karim Benzema gets 4 goals against Man City, gets 3 goals against Chelsea, and gets 3 goals against PSG. He's the kryptonite of every single top team in Europe. And that's why he's my choice for the Ballon d'Or. And the player, I gotta say this, man. Because if Benzema has these moments, he's got these glory moments, hero moments, it's because of Camavinga. Camavinga, people. Do not sleep on how good Camavinga is at the age of 19. We constantly say 30 million is a bargain, and it's more than shown already in the Champions League, okay? So Camavinga, I know Bayern, because Bayern were hinting an awful lot to get Camavinga before he went to Real. Yeah. So, that's their biggest loss.
19 years old. 19 years old still. And yeah, you're absolutely right. When he came on, just the vibe of the game changed. And he was everywhere. And it was the legs that they need. And it makes sense. And it's nothing against Toni Kroos, right? It doesn't mean that Toni Kroos had a bad game. It just means that there's a limitation to what he can do right now. And the fact that you have Camavinga executing as well as he could. He was involved in, I believe, all 3 of those goals in some capacity. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
He played the ball to Benzema.
Yes, he did.
That Benzema then crossed the ball.
Exactly.
I believe he played the ball then to who was it? Or maybe he got the foul. I forget the second one that led to the cross.
He's the build-up play. of those.
Yes, he was the build-up play. He was the pass to the assist, if that's what it was. And then I believe he was also the guy that hit the ball to, was it Valverde, who then hit the ball to Benzema, who got fouled, and then the resulting penalty kick. So Camavinga behind the scenes, if you will. You're absolutely right. So influential at 19 years old. It's absolutely just hard to believe. But then again, it makes sense. When your back's to the wall and you put a kid in there with like little to no pressure, because nobody's expecting you to do this, even though they've done it previously, the remontada. Nobody expects you, though, to do that. I mean, we all expected in the 90th minute that City was going to close this out, game shut, they're off to the final, and Pep was going to potentially get his first Champions League win, right? We were, I mean, the way that they were playing. But in the end, Rodrigo of all people,
hero,
had absolute hero. And here's the thing that's just most bonkers to me. That second goal, okay, a minute after the first goal, that goal would not have happened if Asensio did not touch it first.
Fuck.
That head ball to his head, that was a botched header by Rodrigo, unless Asensio touched the ball. And I don't know what that was, if it was just fate, if it was, the gods looking down on Rodrigo. But that literally would have been, I don't know, caromed off to the side, completely off netting, and it would not have gone in if it did not hit Asensio's head first. And that just baffles me, because that was a minute after, and boom, that momentum just shifted. And once that second goal happened, I'm like, I know it's going to extra time, but this third goal is happening.
Exactly.
It just has to. Exactly. It's going to happen.
And you said it, Camavinga, amazing run to get that penalty. Yeah. And yeah, it's true. It seems like Real Madrid are inevitable. I'm getting those same vibes. But there's another stat too with Trent Alexander-Arnold. That boy, oh boy, is crazy. Trent has gone now. Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to his third Champions League final. Okay. At the age of 23. The first one, he lost to Real Madrid. Those memories. Yeah. The second, he got it. He got that dub straight away. And the third now. It's what you said. Is it going to be a remontada type beat? I
don't know. But I do know this. The last time Liverpool played Real Madrid, okay? I forget the actual date, but the last time they played him in a European final, in Paris, I believe Liverpool won.
In Paris.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Paris. Now, obviously the last time they played, this is I don't know, maybe they're going to pull the Benfica UEFA Youth League, rematch of the final type situation where Liverpool will exact revenge. That's what you're guessing. But I don't know. I just thought it was pretty interesting. The last time they played in Paris, I believe it was the Parc des Princes that they played in. And I believe it was 40 years ago. So obviously things have changed. But Liverpool played Real Madrid. Liverpool won. There's history all over the place, man. And these are two very storied teams. And you're right. I mean, Trent to be in 3 Champions League finals at the age of 23 years old, doing what he's been doing. Most people would be happy in their whole career to get to a semifinal, let alone a final. And especially at the age of 23. And this kid is he's just first class.
It's the
first
culture.
Class.
It's the culture they're setting. And it's players it's the culture that's already there at Real Madrid. And I've got to say this, man. You mentioned Rodrigo, the hero that Real Madrid needed. It's fucked. And the impact he had is unbelievable. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And that chip is Kylian Mbappe. Rodrigo's got to perform, and he knows it. April was an unbelievable month, and May, I've got high expectations, man. And Rodrigo became the first player to score a brace after the 90th minute in the Champions League knockout stages. Unbelievable. He's 20. Yeah. He's a year younger than Vini. So we know Vini took off at the beginning of this season. So everything is setting at the right time. And I've got to say, there's all this news about what the Super League, Florentino Perez was a catalyst for that decision. But he is a catalyst too for the elite management that Real Madrid is doing, because yes, the club has a net spend of like 5 million euros, I think, and they brought in Valverde, Vinicius, Rodrigo, like Camavinga, all elite business, and the future of Real is secure. Los Blancos are gonna be a threat constantly in every single Champions League, and it's because of Florentino. So
they are now, but they are now. I agree with you now. I mean, they will. Although we can talk about Barcelona later, because I do believe they're obviously making progress. Even though I said hold your horses last week.
True.
But here is the insanity. Okay, and this is how quickly things change in world football. 3 months ago, there were so many rumors out there about Fede Valverde leaving Real Madrid to get playing time, to get constant playing time. And now we're talking about him as, one of the engines of the team. And I know, he wasn't on the score sheet. He didn't have an assist. He didn't do this. That man was moving. He was moving faster than some of the Manchester City players were moving 20 minutes in. He was moving faster than them and wanted it more, 120 minutes in.
Uruguay.
He really is. And Rodrigo is another one. People 4 or 5 months ago were looking at him as kind of a flop, right? A young flop, but a flop that you put 50 million euros down on him, you expect a return. Okay, you've got your return. I mean, this kid just this kid's Tesla in the stock market, okay? I mean, that unbelievable that, that it's him of all people. It's him that gets that done. They had a 1% chance. 1% chance to win that game they did.
Just imagine if Rodrigo was English. Just imagine. Like, how much would Rodrigo cost right now after he did? I guarantee.
150 million.
I was going to say guaranteed more than 100 million pounds with what he did in that semi-final. So it's like, oh my days. This is crazy. Even the evaluations, man. But what I gotta say is, like, Real are gonna be constantly there, and just the fact that they signed Camavinga and not Bayern, like I was saying, like it's it. So people, tell us down below who do you think is gonna win this final? Tell me the score predictions. Who's gonna go bold? And go crazy with that. So sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I do have to just bring up one more thing before we move on from this. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you I had to bring this up previously, because Real Madrid doing that obviously was magical. And the absolute insanity was that Karim Benzema called it. He literally used that word, in Spanish. I don't know what it is in Spanish, but he literally said, we are going to do something magical at the Bernabeu. Well, through 89 minutes, they did not do anything magical. In fact, they played a crap game through 89 minutes, pardon my French, okay? Manchester City was the better team. They were the better team in the first leg. In fact, Real Madrid has been the worst team out of I don't know how many legs. The majority of the legs that they've played. But yeah, I mean, I think they might have outplayed Chelsea in one of their games. Okay, but definitely against PSG. PSG was the better team, except for a 15-minute period. But Manchester City was the better team. And I don't think there's an argument there at all. Now, in the end, they won. Benzema called it. How much of this in your mind, and I got to ask you this, right? Because it's important. How much of this in your mind is on Pep Guardiola?
I'm gonna give it more of a W to Real Madrid than a disappointment to Guardiola. But I gotta say this is a focus, and it is something that must be in Pep's head. That is he the manager to guide Man City to win the Champions League? I'm honestly I've got my doubts, but Man City, by getting Erling Haaland, is gonna give the answers to everyone in the world of football next season. Because if Pep doesn't win with Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne link up the Champions League, I don't know what else does he need. So but
I'll tell you what. None of that matters if you've got a guy like Rodrigo coming off the bench and having the impact that is needed to beat Manchester City and make the Champions League final. Because
if Ronaldo would have gone to City instead of United, they would have gone through against Real Madrid. They don't have that guy. They don't have that guy. Haaland, the striker, there's clinical moments that they should have settled that match against Real, and it's because they don't have that guy. And with Krekers, they would.
And frankly, who does that fall on if they don't have the striker? He's the one that said we're not going to go after a striker, right? And he went after Julian Alvarez and didn't get him there. So that falls on Pep too. But there's just an alarming statistic, I guess. I mean, there's an alarming fact that comes with Pep Guardiola, who obviously is a ridiculously elite coach. And he's taken Manchester City to places they've obviously never been before, and he is just immensely amazing. But this is a worrying trend in the sense that not all with Manchester City, but he has lost 6. He is the losingest. That's not a word. The losingest coach in Champions League knockout round history. He's lost 6 Champions League semifinals now. Okay, and this is even more alarming, and why I didn't want to move on. Did you see that tweet from, I believe it was the chief editor of Independent Sport? Okay, I think his name is Miguel Delaney, and if you haven't seen his tweet, you have to go see it. And I'm sure it's been brought up in the past. But listen to how many quick-fire breakdowns Manchester City has had, especially in the knockout stages. In 2010, they let up 2 goals in 13 minutes. 2014, they let up 3 goals in 18 minutes. 2015, 3 goals in 17. 2017, 2 goals in 8 minutes. 2018, 3 goals in 19. I'm not done yet. 2019, 2 goals in 3 minutes. 2020, 2 goals in 8 minutes. 2022, 3 goals in 6 minutes. Yes, there was a whistle for extra time in between there. But is that not a worrying trend to you?
It is.
Okay.
Seeing it like that, it is. But I really think that, look, Guardiola had Messi in the past, and now he's gonna have Haaland. That's how I Foden and Haaland. I feel like he's developed 2 babies. He's gonna develop 2 babies into world-class best players in the world. I think that's gonna happen. And for me too, like, I think this summer was traumatizing for Guardiola because they get Grealish for 100 million. And I'd say a week afterwards, it's said that Messi is going to leave Barcelona. And I guarantee you, if there was the option between not getting Grealish and getting Messi for just 1-2 seasons, Guardiola would go for the 100%. The boldest option, which is Messi. Yeah. So I think that too was like, why didn't that present itself earlier? So that was.
I mean, it just unreal. And the crazy thing, because we talked about Trent, but we barely even talked about Liverpool. Liverpool had a similar scare, right? Liverpool went down 2-0 to Villarreal. They had a stadium that housed half the city, right?
True.
Half the city. 25,000 people were there. First off, it was epic that Villarreal even made it this far, no matter what that English dude says on that English thing, that whatever, where they just yell at people for not being, all Liverpools and Manchester Cities. But in the end, man, they almost engineered the same comeback. Can you imagine if Real Madrid scored 2 goals early on? Okay? I 100% believe that Manchester City would have gotten their bearings, would have bit down and just gotten it done. They would have just eventually overtaken Real Madrid, and Real Madrid would have had no answer because they would have been able to get back. They took the gut punch, and they would have been able to go back and deliver the blows that were needed to just knock Real Madrid out. Especially the blows that they were not able to land in that first leg, which I 100% still believe that they lost this match in that first leg. They lost this match in that first leg. So it's just amazing to me that the timing of it was it was a knockout blow. Those 2 in the injury time, right? When 100% of them, their body language just disintegrated. And I wish I was on that live with you, because obviously I had a lot to say, and I was jotting this down furiously, and I need to get to a point where I'm doing this not 5 days later, doing this a day later, because man, oh man, you could see it in their eyes. There was panic the first time, and Manchester City does not thrive on panic. And they certainly do not thrive on chaos or a chaotic atmosphere with momentum just getting thrown at them left and right. They need a principled, play their triangles, let them overtake them and overwhelm the side. And Liverpool was able to do that because they got their gut punch early. And they were able to sit back and get it done. So
I agree with you, but I'd say with Liverpool, it's just the
Yeah.
clear sign that the difference is Luis Diaz. The difference is Luis Diaz. Like the fact
No.
that this man is saving Liverpool to can still be in the title race and in the Champions League. If there's a difference in that second half in Villarreal, it's Luis Diaz coming on and putting on a show. The biggest bargain in last January transfer window because boy, oh boy, is this guy performing straight away at the highest level demanded. So yeah, I'm gonna say Luis Diaz was the difference in that. But I agree with you. There was a big scare for Liverpool.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it right now because I agree with you on this. Luis Diaz, the fresh face. Clubs that should have gone after him with a vengeance and didn't go after him and land his signature with a vengeance. If Liverpool wins this final, if Liverpool wins this final in Paris, end of May, yeah.
Yes.
If Liverpool wins this final, end of May in Paris, I am pretty damn sure that it's going to be because Luis Diaz gets it done on the day, and that he is one of the deciding factors. I think it's going to be the fresh face, the one that you can't prepare for. And I really just love what I've seen from him. So
he'll be hard, but
it's
yeah,
so we can end now. I'm sorry.
The one you can't prepare for is actually a great lead up because I wasn't preparing myself for this Europa League final in which the final is Rangers against Frankfurt. Oh my days, big up to Frankfurt, okay, by getting two huge disappointments by getting through Barcelona first and now, oh my day, West Ham. Like, I wasn't expecting this. So, big up to Frankfurt. And, yeah. I'm excited for this final. I'll tell you that.
I am too. I mean, it's Frankfurt's first European final in 42 years. 42 years. Okay. And that in and of itself is just absolutely bonkers. And then you have the fact that Rangers, I mean, I told you, Ibrox hits different. And I had a feeling, just with how much of a fortress it's been for them, at least in this European competition, I just had a feeling that they were going to be able to get it done. But I was not expecting Leipzig to fall into the trap. I really did not expect it to happen. But once again, I mean, players that we don't talk about on a regular basis, James Tavernier, their captain, their big man, their right back. The right back is like the leading scorer. He's the leading scorer of the Europa League. Okay, and it was a great kind of upset. And the Frankfurt is one thing. Okay, Frankfurt is one thing. I was heartbroken for the Aaron Cresswell red card. Not because he didn't necessarily deserve it, but more so because it really did hamper West Ham's ability to get anything done. And they mounted an attack, but Frankfurt, Rafael Santos Borré, once again getting it done. I think that this is going to be it's going to be a fight. It's not, in my opinion, though, going to be as exciting as the Europa Conference League. But I'll ask you, who do you think's gonna pull it out? Rangers or Eintracht Frankfurt?
I'm gonna say because you did mention Ibrox is the difference. I think Frankfurt are gonna get it done and win the Europa League. But
interesting.
I've got to respect Rangers for getting to the final. Unbelievable feat. And guys, watch out. We've said it. We're gonna say it again. Knauff, the right back on loan from Dortmund. Okay. Watch out, what a player in the Europa League. If Frankfurt are going to win it, it's with a masterclass of Knauff that he's been doing against Barcelona. He was such a menace. So, people, watch out. Watch out.
Yeah, and to add to that, it was great. He hasn't played the best. In fact, I don't think I've seen Jans Petter Hauge play his best football in a very, very long time. But it is great to see this kid who really, you remember, right? Bodo Glimt first came onto the scene because of Hauge and what they were doing there. Patrick Berg, Hauge, forgetting who the other one was. But I would love to see him help them get it done in the final. So I too believe, even though I just waxed poetic about Rangers, they're near and dear to my heart with Claudio Reyna in the past, with Gattuso, back in the day, and how they had to come through hell and back to get back to where they are right now. I believe in Von Bronckhorst, but I still believe that Eintracht Frankfurt is going to get it done. And I think it's our man Hauge that's going to play the deciding role.
So put down below, people, who do you think is going to win the Europa League? And put your score predictions and man of the match, because we love to see those. So now, I'm more excited about the Conference League, I'll be honest with you guys, than the Europa, because of big man Jose. And I've got a stat that I've got to start with Jose Mourinho, that he has gone to a final with every single club he's been with since Porto.
Amazing.
Porto. Unbelievable. Do not disrespect one of the best managers, not in the history of football, in the history of sports. Jose Mourinho, okay? And another stat. First manager to be in the final of the Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League. Jose Mourinho. So,
and none of that, none of those milestones, as important as they are, is what hit me as much as seeing him so emotional after that whistle. Like, literally just like almost crumpling over, just honoring the fans that were there, right? Seeing that brought out a kind of a real take on who Jose Mourinho is, that sometimes gets kind of ferreted away, put behind a bravado. I have to be the guy, and there's always this like brash and the alpha, exactly. It was nice to see him just kind of show that it doesn't matter if this is the Europa Conference League or the Champions League. It means everything. It means everything for Roma fans to get to a European final, one that gives them tickets to other places and gives them a point from which they can start to maybe mount a Scudetto challenge in the future, because they won't be playing Champions League ball next year. I believe it's Juventus and Napoli that will instead of them, because of their Serie A campaign has not been that good. But hey, phenomenal to see Jose Mourinho. That emotion is what got me. Hell, I teared up watching it. Tammy Abraham scored 25 goals in a season. In a season where you think about what he felt leaving Chelsea, leaving his boyhood club, right? And think about what it either puts a chip on your shoulder or it disarms you and it makes you not be able to perform the way you are. Well, Tammy Abraham has literally won over Stadio Olimpico. He has won over Rome. He has won over every AS Roma fan, I believe, and I think he's going to play a massive role against Feyenoord in that final. And I'm going to say that AS Roma is going to come out big, but that's not without giving props to Feyenoord, man, because Feyenoord, what I love about Feyenoord's 11 is they have Tyrell Malaysia. They have, and I'm going to butcher these names, but Lucharel Gertruda. They've got Orkan Koksu.
Gustil.
Screw that.
Gustil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and these are names that were brought up in Rotterdam. They were brought up at Feyenoord. They to win it with such a organic nature to it is so incredibly exciting that it makes you, we wax poetic about seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold out there, Liverpool, but he's one of the only ones. He's one of the only true blue Liverpudlians. But this Feyenoord team is special, even though they're not going to win the Eredivisie title. But they have some true young ballers on this team that if you're looking at who to scout for who's going to be picked up or who might break out for the Dutch national team in the World Cup, you're going to want to watch Feyenoord at the end. But
great show. And even for the ballers, you said English ballers at Feyenoord, you still got Reece Nelson there. That he can be a late bloomer. He can be a
How
late
great
bloomer.
is that?
And he I love that shout too. And yes, Tammy Abraham is the English player with the most goals in all the top 5 leagues. And look, this only puts even more pressure to Southgate to select him, because if Tammy isn't in that plane going to the World Cup, I don't even know what he's got to do. Literally, I don't even know what he's got to do, because he's gone to a different country, and he's always said, like, I've been in London ever since I've was bored. So like being confronted with such a culture shock, unbelievable. And I think too with Roma, there's a lack in the midfield. I think Cristante, I think the time is over, you know? So I think next season with new midfielders at Roma, top 4 can happen, in my opinion, for Roma. And you mentioned Feyenoord. Really, you have to. You got to mention because they're in the final and they deserve it too. And they've got Luis Iniesta that you're a huge fan of. Winger, he's got more than 10 goals already in the league. People, watch out for him. And yes, you mentioned the Turkish baller that I for sure do not expect him to stay at Feyenoord after this season. And it's, I'm going to butcher it, Orkun Göksu. It's a difficult name, but I hope I got it right. And what a player he is, providing that assist, creating goals out of nowhere. He is the future of Turkey and the present, you can say right now. So watch out for this midfielder at Feyenoord. And the last one I was going to say is Gustil, that is on loan from Spartak Moscow. Very interesting player because there's a history there. Like he went for 18 million, leaving AZ Alkmaar. So he's got a lot to prove. And if there's a player going to that Dutch national team and performing, it can be Gustil. So I am going to edge with Roma to win it. Because I believe Jose Mourinho is clutch in those European finals, any finals. But I agree with you.
I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be the better game out of the two. And it just, you brought up Luis Sinisterra. You brought up Orkun Göksu. Hell, we brought up and talked about Luis Diaz. These are 3 players that we are not going to see at the World Cup. It's a travesty, but it's one unfortunately we're going to have to live with. I just still can't believe that Colombia did not make it. But anyway, moving on. These finals are set. They're ready to go. Yes. They're going to be exciting. They're going to come fast and furious. And I want to hear what everyone thinks are going to be the outcomes.
Put down below, people, what you think is going to happen in the Conference League. Score predictions, man of the match. We want to know your thoughts. So now, I've got a ton of questions to ask you, my guy, because Chelsea seems to have a new owner and, an American owner. So what's up? What should we expect now?
Well, Todd Bowley is the new owner. He's a billionaire. He's got other billionaires in there with him, so it's not just him. It's a consortium, and it's a worldwide consortium. I believe one of the other guys is Wyss, W-Y-S-S. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I think he's Austrian. So it's kind of a global consortium. But he owns the LA Dodgers, and he is known for there's a lot of investment that has gone into the Dodgers over the years that's made them very successful. And I think people can be fairly. Now let's be honest. It hasn't gone through yet, but it is a $5 billion American dollar bid, and it is one that, regardless of who it is, right? Whether it's him or that Ratcliffe or Sutcliffe guy that lives elsewhere, like lives in Monaco but is British and wants to buy him because he's a fan, but he didn't put a bid in. What I really care about here is that Chelsea supporters, they have, it's not certainty, but they have a way forward. They have a future. What a lot of people might not know is that by the end of May, if the sale did not go through, it likely was going to be that, I don't know, something bad was going to happen. Like the spigot of money was going to essentially turn off. And something was going to have to happen with Chelsea in order to turn it back on. So the fact of the matter is Chelsea supporters, once it goes through, once it's final, once it's over, they will be able to actually start dreaming of, I don't know who you want to isolate, but Jules Koundé, or they can dream of transfers coming in, or they can dream of getting Christian Pulisic out of their 11, which is what Twitter tells me what they want over these last few games. I think he's gonna move on. I
do. You think Pulisic is leaving Chelsea after getting an American owner?
Yeah. And I've been thinking this. I just haven't said it. I've been thinking this even before the whole. I don't know if you saw the Mark Pulisic, his dad, the deleted tweet.
I saw that.
You know, it's if other teams want him and they're willing to pay for him, I believe it makes sense for him to move on because even though there's history between Thomas Tuchel and Christian Pulisic, I don't know if he's ever going to be. He's going to always be that utility man.
Will he be that? Yeah, the history says that he'll be that guy with Tuchel.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but not to get into that. That's a whole different thing. Really, Todd Boehly presents a olive branch, not an olive branch. He presents a way forward for Chelsea fans. Now, unfortunately, Chelsea has who to go off of. Well, you look at all the other American owners in the league.
Exactly.
You're looking at the Glazer family mostly, and the fact that literally all of Manchester United fandom hates their guts.
And Kroenke too with Arsenal. Like there's a bit of a bad rep with the American owners. Yeah. But you're telling me that with the LA Dodgers, this man did wonders. So I'm gonna keep it real and leave it up in the air. But you never know because with Roman Abramovich, he bought the club for £140 million, and you're telling me that it's gonna be sold now for $5 billion.
Yeah, $5 billion.
That's like that's big numbers.
Yeah,
big numbers. And what I'm gonna ask you is, should we expect a big transfer this summer for Chelsea?
Yeah, I think if you look at the Dodgers
Rice?
have one.
Can Declan Rice or Harry Kane happen, you reckon, to Chelsea?
I mean, it could, but should it? Should it when you've got a Tchouaméni out there that you can maybe bring in or somebody? Tchouaméni will cost 70. It'll cost literally half of what a Declan Rice does, and I think he can do the job and more over time. Although you're going to have a transition period, and you've got the thing is Chelsea has a framework from which to build off of. Like you don't.
True.
It's not like looking at Manchester United and saying, we all know they need a D mid, and they're not bringing a D mid in at all. And I really honestly believe that yes, they have the ability to bring somebody in. I think Todd Boehly, while he has spent with the Dodgers or opened up the purse strings for the Dodgers and other teams, I do think that maybe they'll dip their toe into the water. I don't think that they'll be scared, but I think it'll be principled. With it though. How amazing was Todd Boehly's first game to take in as a Chelsea owner, even though I don't think the ink has dried, and correct me if I'm wrong. Not only did Todd Boehly himself get Romelu Lukaku to score his first 2 Premier League goals since December 2021, he also got to witness a 2-goal collapse in which they then gave up. And he also got his first glimpse of
VAR moment in which we don't know if he knew what was the VAR rule, but still, it was, it's funny.
He probably didn't. He probably didn't.
But yes, Lukaku, he went crazy with that one. And yes, I think he's got to prove himself that he deserves to be the striker for Chelsea next season, because my choice would be Kai Havertz up forward, man. I think Kai Havertz has shown more than enough to deserve that spot at the false 9. I was just very excited to know if you'd expect Declan Rice, but I agree with you. Tchouaméni, much better deal. But I'm surprised too about what you said about Pulisic. Oh my days. But yes, 2-2. That was the match result between Chelsea and Wolves. And what I was thinking in the back of my head is, lucky them that Arsenal is only packing up and they got those 2 losses, like those 2 consecutive losses, because without them, maybe Arsenal would be in the top 3, okay? And
and that, I believe they still can be. I mean, they did win against Leeds. Chelsea looks vulnerable still. I mean, and we got to give credit where credit's due to Wolves, right? Wolves, that Trincao goal was brilliant.
True.
Especially after hearing that Wolves does not want to buy him, and he's likely on his way back to Barcelona.
It's the right choice.
Probably the right choice. Yeah. But I know you wanted to highlight one other Portuguese player on that team.
Chiquinho. I remember seeing Chiquinho 2-3 years ago playing in the under-23 of Estoril. Winger, doing phenomenal, and now seeing his impact. Only needed 28 minutes coming off the bench and getting 2 assists. Okay, 2 assists against Chelsea, okay, of all teams. One of the best teams in the world. So big up on Chiquinho and the future of Portugal. And where would you expect it? At Wolves. So I love to see that. I love to see that.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty awesome to see because I actually hadn't gotten to see a whole lot of them. And let's be honest, Wolves has cooled down. They have not been the team that we all thought was maybe going to be fighting for top half of the league earlier this season. And I think people have started to get a little less excited about Bruno Lage ball. Am I wrong?
Yes, it's very defensive style, yes. And it is true that at Benfica, Bruno Lage ball was João Felix ball the majority of the time. So I get where they're coming from, though.
Well,
but great coach, though, defensively. Like, I don't want to say he's a bad coach. I do compare him a lot with Nuno Espírito Santo. Bruno Lage with Nuno Espírito Santo. But
who somehow has not found a job yet.
Exactly. And it was reportedly maybe Portuguese national team of Fernando Santos would go, but I wouldn't even like that for him. So, you got a couple of coaches that we're still waiting to see what's going to happen. Like Paulo Fonseca, too. He doesn't have a job after Shakhtar. So, people were saying Arsenal, Newcastle, but yeah, Arsenal.
Not
exactly. Arsenal now, not for sure because Arteta got that contract extension with Arsenal, come on, that was a big win, against Leeds, a 2-1 win, and Leeds was going with everything they could. Not the best performance by them, but they're in a relegation battle, and the fact that Arsenal is getting 3 points in this game shows that they have that grit and they have what it needs to win. And I know Edin Keita scored a brace. Amazing. I hope he stays as a role player for Arsenal. But there was a bunch of goals that weren't scored in that game. And you can see the lack of efficiency of forwards in the striker role for Arsenal. So I think they need that striker. And it's going to happen this summer.
Yeah. So, and they have the money to do it. And they'd be smart. It's just they got to pick the right one. And I still think Ivan Toney is probably their best selection. But that Leeds loss, man, that's tough. That's tough because looking at it now, Everton has now pulled off not one, but two very solid wins to beat Chelsea, then to beat Leicester City. They got to be feeling better. Away, yeah. And Brendan Rodgers is, I almost want to say he should be on the hot seat at some point because they're like pretty close. They're not going to they can't mathematically, 14th. I think, get relegated. But they're like closer to the relegation scrap than they are anything else. But what it comes down to is Everton has obviously shown just a fire. And maybe we credit Frank Lampard to this. I'd credit old heads like Fabian Delph. I'd credit Jordan Pickford for upping his game and making sure he doesn't, whatever. But you've seen the drive to essentially survive as a Premier League team because they have one game in hand. I believe they have 4 games left. I think it's 2 home, 2 away. Nothing crazy necessarily except that last day game, Arsenal away. But they should be clear of Leeds or Burnley by that point. And they're already 1 point ahead of that. So I'm almost going to back Everton out of this and say it's Leeds versus Burnley. And Burnley obviously has the upper hand on goal difference because Leeds their goal difference, you probably remember, they were getting crushed 7-0, 6-1, 5-2 under Marcelo Bielsa for some reason. And in the end right now, you've got Leeds that have 3 left, and they have Chelsea and Brighton at home, and then they end the year with Brentford away. Then you've got Burnley, who have away games versus Spurs and Villa. They're going to lose those 2, in my thought. Okay.
I believe too.
It's just, I don't know what to do here. I almost feel like there's no points in this for Leeds. Maybe Brighton. I don't know, but Brighton just crushed. Crushed. Who did they crush?
United.
Yeah.
They crushed United, and
they crushed us. I don't know, man.
I agree with you though, saying that Leicester, when should we say that Brendan Rodgers is in the hot seat? I completely agree with you, but I'll give him one more season. Because I still think if Fofana injury, huge blow, and there was so many plates to handle. Like Leicester do have, European competitions, and they went deep, like until the semifinals. So I agree, we should be worried, but not too worried. Maybe too worried next season. But Everton, yes, Pickford. You hit the money when you said that name. For me, Pickford, in these last 3 games he's played, totally understandable that he's the England #1. Totally understandable. If he plays for England the same way he's been playing, to save Everton, oh my days. Unbelievable performances. Fine. Unbelievable. And with Arsenal too, I just wanted to end up by saying, for Arteta, next season is the season when there's no more excuses. No more excuses, because he's built up the foundations he needs. Like Tomiyasu's there now. There was no Tomiyasu before. Odegaard's there now. Martinelli's there. Smith Rowe, Saka. And all these foundations, they are now there. You don't have those viruses. And if you have players that you thought were like viruses in the past, like now, if you didn't handle them after 2-3 years, when is it going to happen? So for me, Arteta next season is the answer for Arsenal fans if he's going to stay long term or not. So
it's funny that you're talking about viruses and Arsenal, and think about the 180. Think about the complete. You and I were both Arteta out, and we have to kind of back away from that now.
Conte in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Conte in, right.
Yeah.
But you're talking about viruses, and it's like United just lost 4-0 to Brighton. Ralph Rangnick had no answer. I don't know if Ronaldo gave a quote, but I'm sure if he did, it wasn't a positive one. I know what Bruno Fernandes said. He said, what I did today does not deserve to wear this shirt. Okay, which I think that's a great mea culpa. It's a great, that's sorry. True. We didn't get it done, and I applaud him for, throwing that out there. But what is going on? They're not playing for the manager. They're not playing for the badge. These are, we're looking at this, and it's like when we reframed Rodrigo 6 months ago as maybe a flop at Real Madrid that needed loan time or needed something else, and now he's everybody's, darling, right? Fede Valverde was going to leave Real Madrid, and now he's everybody's darling, okay, at Real Madrid. And now, all of a sudden, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has figured out how not to win a Premier League game, how not to be efficient. Harry Maguire can't beat a Brighton, right? That's not the case. Right? Yeah, but it's not the case. Like, Harry Maguire is still a player. He is still a good player, and I know I'm going to get killed in this. But it just goes to show you what morale does. What morale does to a team, and that team has none. It has none whatsoever. Self-confidence is low. Some of them just want to get to the end of the season.
I completely agree.
But Champions League football is gone. How bad can it go? Could they miss Europe altogether?
Exactly. I think the moment they missed the Champions League football, from there on, mentally, it was downhill. Yeah. And I'll say this, man. Ronaldo has 5 Champions Leagues in his locker, 5 Ballon d'Ors, and he's got 24 goals this season for Man United. And I might say that is one of the biggest feats, in his career, to have 24 goals in this team. And I remember in the past, Jose Mourinho saying that getting a second place with the same group of players was one of the best things he's done in his career in football. So I think now people aren't surprised with that. And Ronaldo, for Man United, I think the best would be for him to stay, because you have no culture, no landmark but him, in my opinion. So Erik ten Hag, like Ferguson, there's a lot of talk too. There's a lot of private meetings between Sir Alex Ferguson and Cristiano Ronaldo to make this decision, because there's a huge wage cut. Huge. With not going to the Champions League, 25%, I think, with all players. So, players like De Gea, Maguire, Ronaldo, all getting a salary cut. So, there's a lot to be talked. And the numbers, too, the Champions League numbers, that Ronaldo's obsessed. He really needs to feel like he's going to make a difference at Man United. And I just hope that Erik ten Hag sets it up well, and it goes to show, it needs to happen in the transfer window. And a lot of right decisions need to happen for Man United to win the Prem in 2 years, 3 years' time. So let's...
Not gonna happen.
But with Ronaldo there, like, it's more possible an outcome like that, especially if he's teaching youth players like Elanga and Sancho how to conduct themselves in the future to win. And that too, I think that's what happened. Ronaldo arrived and he called out everyone. He was like, Maguire, you're captain. This is happening, this is happening, this. And then we saw news saying, oh, there's a bad environment in the locker room, there's a bad this, there's a bad that. And then when we see the before and after the games, who talks to him, what does this, you totally understand. Understand. And there's not a demand to win. And like at Real Madrid, there's a winning culture. There's no player that's above the club. That needs to happen at Man United too, because they have the status to do that to the players and to be the alpha in the role. And yeah, they should be. Like, United should be the number one. Like, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, and I'm going to open this up to you, but I'm also going to open it up to our FC Wonderkid listeners. Realistically, what is your expectation in the first season for Erik ten Hag? Is it Champions League qualification?
Top six.
Because, top six?
Yeah, it's top six. Because for me, I'm seeing a team of Man United that I'm not going to blame even the center backs, honestly, what I saw against Brighton. Brighton had an enormous display. We're going to talk about those players that, like Moises Caicedo, should have gone to United in the past. It was taught. No, it wasn't that
he wants to go there.
Yeah, he even said it.
He wanted to go there.
Like, exactly, like stating it publicly that he wanted to go there. And you need those players at Man United because no player seemed like he wanted to be there. And Matic, the substitutions in that game were what got to me. Because I like Ralf Rangnick. I think Ralf Rangnick is one of the... he's one of the people in football that have a huge influence with Jurgen Klopp, Tuchel, with the Jager pressing. So I got a lot of respect towards that. But the substitutions of letting go of Matic and Elanga in the second half was like Cucurella going crazy, man. And Brighton just played so much better. And McTominay was, I'm not going to say horrible, but like that was really, really not a good performance by McTominay. And again, we say it every single podcast. We're going to say it again. This podcast is like, we sponsor this and we say that United have to get a CDM, especially when Matic is leaving at the end of this season. If Matic leaving, nobody's there to do that. So
Juve, right? Is that the Juve?
Oh man, Juve. Considering like what's happening with Denis Zakaria, that I think that's a good one.
It could be. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, what you basically, to summarize what you said, there is. We all love to scapegoat Harry Maguire right now. It's the fad. It's the thing, but and there's obviously there's relevance to it. There's truth to all of that. Lindelof has not been great either. Okay. Injuries abound. I think the best player on the field for them, I mean, Ronaldo didn't have a great game against Brighton either, but I think the best player on the field for them was actually Dalot, and he was making mistakes too.
Yeah, Dalot,
exactly. You know, so it is a team-wide thing. It's not one player. There are so many players that are not playing up to their potential right now, and that's not going away anytime soon because confidence is rock bottom, expectation is rock bottom. People are embarrassed to wear the shirt right now on the pitch because they know that they're rock bottom, and I don't know how they get out of that, and I don't know how Ralf Rangnick does that. So yeah, maybe you're right. Top 6 is the expectation for ETH as he comes in, but. None of this does. You're right. None of this gives. Everyone's going to focus on the Manchester United storyline, when really some of the focus needs to be put on Graham Potter and Brighton, because Caicedo's. I mean, his performance is one. He can be erratic. He's still learning. He's still raw. Oh. I mean, hell, just 6 months ago, he was barely playing for one of the worst teams in the Belgian Pro League. Okay, on loan, and now he comes in and he's 5 starts in, and he looks like he's been there since he was, he looks like he's a 30-year-old vet who's been there for Brighton for a long time. And Marc Cucurella is, I almost have to say it, he's probably at least U23. Probably U23. He is the signing of the season for me. I might be missing one, but no, better than Olise. Absolutely, far and away, in my opinion. I mean, look at what they've done look at what he's done from left back, left wing, his versatility, his engine, everything about Cucurella. He's an Iron Man as well. He's got great hair. He is just a joy to watch. And it's one of those, Caicedo, you can see the emotion and how much it means to him to be on the pitch, how much it means to him to start at the Amex, how much it means to him to be at Old Trafford or wherever he's playing and take it in and sink it in. And I know that goes away the more games you play, but right now it's palpable with Caicedo. It's palpable how much it was, or how much it felt for Cucurella to score that first goal for them. You saw like the tears come to his face. It was that Jose Mourinho look, except he's actually scoring a goal and sliding with his teammates. And I just love the kid. I've loved him. I loved him when he was at Getafe. I loved him when he was trying to break into the Barcelona role. And I honestly believe that if it was a year or two later and he was part of this Barcelona setup, he'd be an absolute fan favorite of everybody that has ever called themselves a Barcelona supporter. So it is amazing to me that it's happening in a Brighton shirt. But I loved it. Those two guys, Caicedo and Cucurella, were just great.
Great highlights.
Just great.
Great highlights. I think you pulled it away, and it's true. That was an opt-out situation, okay? I think in January 2021, Man United decided not to go and get Moises Caicedo, and 1 year later, he pulls up a masterclass performance against Man United, and he is the man of the match in that game. And yes, he's gonna leave now for instead of going to Man United for 4 million Moises Caicedo now. That number is a lot higher, okay? If he's gonna go to Man United, and it's gonna be much higher. But I agree.
And one more shout out before we move on, because I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but Leandro Trossard had a really, really rocky beginning for Brighton. Really rocky beginning for Brighton. And he has really come into his own, scoring great goals, scoring timely goals, just all around consistency for the most part. And I do believe that he is somebody that you're probably going to want to watch to break out for Belgium, because I think Belgium needs it. They need fresh blood. They can't just rely on the De Bruyne, Lukaku, type of situation. They need somebody that, okay, he's not Eden Hazard in his prime. He's nowhere close to Eden Hazard in his prime. But if they can get some sort of a meaningful role play from Leandro Trossard, I think he can actually supply it. He has proven to be one of the better kind of improvement stories in the Premier League this season. And
big goals. He scored against Arsenal, I think, right? And Tottenham, I'm not sure. But big goals for Brighton. And I got to say, too, Graham Potter. You're a huge fan. I'm starting to become a huge fan of Graham Potter, because the deals he's making. Does he make does he have a hand in the transfers too? Because if he does, what a coach he is.
I know, and I don't know that, so I'd love to know. Anyone that's a Brighton fan, let us know. I've not read up on that. I don't know if he has full control, or if it's because whoever's above him probably deserves a whole lot of credit as well.
Completely.
But my guess is that with the size of their club and where they've come from and their beginnings, my guess is that he's a big part of talent identification, and actual brokering of a deal. So
that's huge, and that's the difference for you to stay in the Prem and not go to the Prem. So Fulham, take notes.
Bournemouth, take note now.
True, and going with Bournemouth, just saying big up to David Brooks by beating Cancer, okay, and hopefully we're gonna see him on the field and beating everyone on the field as he did too with Cancer, because big up to him, and that's what you need.
So last year Fulham was relegated, right? With Scott Parker. Scott Parker went down. Now it's Marco Silva there, but Scott Parker then went over to Bournemouth, and now he has brought Bournemouth up. And this is not surprising in the sense of how much money is put into Bournemouth, how much money is put into Fulham. If you look at the wage bills, they're like astronomically higher than the majority of the championship. But what has been interesting is I remember laughing. Okay, I remember laughing, like full-throated laughing at Bournemouth and Eddie Howe when they signed Dominic Solanke. Okay, when they signed him for 21 million euros, or I think it might have even been pounds.
It was more.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more. Yeah.
And I remember being like, Liverpool is laughing all the way to the bank. It makes no sense. He has proven, I mean, he's a great prospect, but he has proven that he can't, necessarily score on a consistent basis. And sure enough, that whole season in the Premier League, he was not a Premier League striker. He was not ready to go. He might be coming into his own. He might be. He has not been given the credit that he deserves, because Alexander Mitrovic is just setting new records in the championship for Fulham. But right behind Mitrovic is Dom Solanke with 29 goals, and he got Bournemouth to a promotion. Okay, a automatic promotion. So he absolutely deserves credit. And while I laughed at his transfer there, he could be a very big player for them if he could figure out how to score in the Premier League next year.
From rags to riches, I gotta say, I wasn't expecting that one. And yeah, I was one of those people that I was saying Liverpool got elite business. And hey, but yeah, great. I think he was really good in the under-20 for England, right? Didn't he? Was he like the best player?
He was a Chelsea kid. He was a Chelsea kid previous to all that. He went Chelsea to Liverpool.
Exactly.
Got a couple games for Liverpool and just didn't pan out. And then they sold him for 20 million. And you might recall there was another player that did this. Jordan Ibe.
Yes. 15, right? I think he was. Oh my days, a winger, but injury prone. That was like, I remember the time Sterling or Jordan Ibe, there was no about that. But yeah, you said Liverpool. Liverpool had a tough match against Conte. 1-1 Liverpool. I see a lot of people giving hate to Conte. Like, let's be honest, people. If Conte is going to play the style of play that he wants to play, like, he would lose to Liverpool. He knows that, and that's why he played the way he did. But I got to give big up to Heung-min Son with 20 goals in the Premier League and no penalties and scoring at Anfield. It had to be Son to break it loose. So big up to him. And yeah,
I mean, all I have to say is you want the easiest bet. You want the easiest bet in the world. Okay, put it on Son scoring 20 goals in a season every year. Just look back. The last 6 years, he has somewhere between like 19 to 22 goals.
Sheesh.
Every year, every season. So if you want the best bet next year, Thomas Hill, wherever you, I don't even know if that's one. Wherever you bet, put it on Son to score 20 because I knew it was going to happen. Did I think it was going to happen against Liverpool? Maybe not. But
and too, like in that match, it was Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz was the difference of, just like we were saying in the Champions League for Tottenham. If there was no Luis Diaz, maybe they would have lost, and a shocker for Conte. And City would have. City, I think they're going to win the Premier League. Yes, I said it. Man City, I think they're going to win the Premier League. But Luis Diaz is doing everything he can to keep Liverpool in that title race. And yeah, I say City because of the goal difference. Like, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting Newcastle to lose 5 goals. But yeah.
Were you expecting me to disagree with you there?
Whoa!
About
Liverpool.
I believe Manchester City is going to win as well.
I thought you said bottle it. I thought you said I was gonna say Stevie G doing wonders.
No. I don't know, man. I feel like City is pissed off. You know? Yeah. I don't blame them. And it is incredibly alarming if things go the way that I expect them to, that Liverpool will wind up only winning the Carabao Cup this year. With how amazing that they have been. I almost feel like that would be just so hard done for Liverpool supporters. But I don't know. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, I do think Real Madrid has the magic left in them one more time to get it done in Paris. And then on the flip side, I think Manchester City is so pissed off that they are going to just wipe the opponents like they did today with Newcastle. They're just going to wipe them off the earth for the remainder of their games.
Chelsea FA Cup, sorry.
And Chelsea FA Cup.
Can Liverpool get one there?
Yeah.
Get 2 titles?
Yes.
I'm going to say, like, I believe Liverpool is at least going to get 2 titles, but I believe in that Champions League, man. That Champions League. So Liverpool and Klopp getting Champions League Cup and FA Cup and second place in a thrilling title race against Man City. It's got to be one of the best seasons in the history of football, okay? Liverpool with Klopp. So, big up on them. Really good. In the Prem, one of the best teams in the history of the Prem. One of the best teams. So, Man City and Liverpool, huge dynamite. So, put down below, people. Who do you think is going to win the Premier League? And what's going to happen in those final matches? So, Wonderkids, any last news with Wonderkids?
Last news with Wonderkids. No, I mean, Pedro Porro, I know you wanted to bring him up, right?
We got to talk about FATI, man. Ansu Fati.
Yeah. There is
that.
There is that.
The number 10 that Barcelona wants and needs. And we have Laporta after the game saying, we've got our superstar back. And I see Xavi hyped up. And for me, it just shows that Ansu Fati was a big reason why Xavi came to Barcelona, in my opinion. So, like, seeing him perform now, it makes total sense. And I want him to just get rid of those injuries, okay? Because it's something that Ansu Fati can't control. But hopefully, Barcelona just gets everything right with everything they can control for that not to happen, man. Because Ansu Fati is a generational talent when he's playing. Playing. And I don't want to lose a world-class player. I want to see Fati go like to his highest potential, man. So
I'm 100% with you when it comes down to it. I think I just don't know what you do in that situation. I mean, do you play him like he's Joel Embiid, where you actually manage his minutes? You know, like, do you manage his minutes so that he doesn't get hurt? And then if he gets hurt, like, what do you do? Or do you just go balls to the wall and say, you know, he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
His body will work through this. He's still growing, whatever. Let's just keep playing him. And then if you get him injured again, what do you do? It's damned if you do, damned if you don't type of a situation. But there's one thing for sure. When Ansu Fati's on the field, something electric is going to happen. And, you know, I'm 100% here for that every time. Even, you know, I'm with you, man. I want to see him thrive. I want to see him thrive and thrive consistently, and it just sucks that, you know, he's one of the best young striking prospects on the planet right now, and even a guy like Erling Haaland can't keep healthy. I just don't, you know, maybe it's too many games. I don't know what it is. I want to know what other people think it is. Why are these young players getting so injured all the time? True. Or are we just so in tune to the injuries? Is there just so much sports betting these days that we all know the ins and outs of every player and what happens to them, that this is not out of the ordinary? It feels out of the ordinary how many of these kids get injured.
No, Pedri can't be injured and Fati can't be injured. If Barcelona are going to do the Champions League mystique that I see a ton of comments saying next season, Champions League, watch out for Barcelona, it's for sure with Pedri on the field and with Ansu Fati on the field. Because if those two are healthy and they play a full season, I can't even imagine what will happen. I can't. And with Lewandowski being added to that, like, I really can't imagine. So hopefully they get it right with those injuries. And another player, I saw a ton of news, and it's understandably so that he's going to leave the club. It's Moukoko with Dortmund. And 17-year-old Moukoko, it's been reported by Sports Bild that he's got enough with Dortmund and he doesn't want to stay next season. And it's totally understandable when Dortmund are going to get Karim Adeyemi to replace Erling Haaland and, a 20-year-old striker. So for Moukoko, it makes sense to go and find another career. Find another club.
Not only a 20 goals or 20-year-old striker, he's a 20+ goal striker who also was able to get things done in the Champions League.
True.
Got Salzburg to a place they've never been before, and all while winning, as expected, their cup and their league all over again, and dealing with injuries himself. Adeyemi would be an amazing addition to Dortmund. It's just, we all knew that this was going to happen with Moukoko, did we not?
True. It was.
We all wanted him to succeed, but I always knew, it always felt to me like he was just never going to break through there fully. He was never going to score the goals he needed to stay in the 11. or even stay in the 18, and that has borne fruit this year. But then again, he's injured. Not even when he wasn't injured, he wasn't getting the chances when literally everybody else around him was injured. Holland, Reina, I mean everybody. So it sucks. I will be. Did you say where he might be going? I missed that.
No,
or
but I think
we don't know yet.
Or he stays in the Bundesliga, or he goes for a hotshot team like Ajax. That's what I'd say. But the reports are saying that Dortmund does demand a buyback clause fee of 15-20 million. So it's more like a loan type if it goes well. But I gotta say too, man, Moukoko, make the right call. I think Ajax would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think because Moukoko, he could go a striker, he could go a winger, because he's crafty, he's fast, he can get the goal, he can cut inside. Like I'm quite surprised, honestly. I'm quite surprised from. Yes, he's a lot of hype, but he is a baller. So I expect him to play wherever he goes next, and he deserves it.
Well, there is a Dortmund player that seems to be thriving elsewhere in the Bundesliga, and I believe he's playing a role in Eintracht Frankfurt's final to come up. Yeah. So I could see a Moukoko wind up at Eintracht Frankfurt.
Great call.
It would almost be a great place for him to go, and I'm sure they'd welcome him with open arms. But hey, I got a crazy story for you before we get any further. I will try and keep it as quick and as succinct as possible. But okay, if you look at Newcastle's youth academy, there's really one player that I would focus on, and that's Elliot Anderson. Okay, he's a 19-year-old midfielder. He's been loaned to League Two, a team called Bristol Rovers. All right, Bristol Rovers, and I bring this up because Elliot Anderson played a role in this. But Bristol Rovers had a 5-goal differential. Okay, so they needed to make up a +5 goal differential in order to get above Northampton for a playoff. I'm sorry, for a promotion. Okay, to League One, first time in their history if they got it done. Last day of the season, Bristol Rovers goes in. They see that Northampton wins 3-1. So now that is not a 5-goal difference; it's a 7-goal difference that they need. No, it's still 5-goal difference. I'm sorry. They now know, with them winning 3-1, that they have to win 7-0 or more for them to win. No, well, Elliot Anderson on this last day, he assists 2 goals and he scores the 7th goal in the 85th minute for them to win 7-0. And they didn't even get to finish the game on time because the fans, after the 7th goal was scored, they apparently stormed the stadium because everybody was just shook. Everybody was shook that this team overcame that goal differential to win their first promotion to League One, to get it done on the last game of the season, and do it in such a ridiculously insane fashion. And Elliot Anderson was right in the thick of it, Newcastle kid. And you ready for this? Guess who the coach of Bristol Rovers is?
Nah, don't. Give me a hint.
Okay, Manchester City, Newcastle, bad boy.
Gareth Barry?
Hey, that's a great guess. No, it's Joey Barton.
Oh, okay. Barton, yes. Barry's. But Barton, oh my days, yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh. So we don't. Elliot Anderson is the wonder kid that ties this all together here. But you have to go. You got to look at the highlights of this Bristol Rovers 7-0 win last match day. You never see this ever. And all I can say is a lot of people in Bristol or wherever Bristol Rovers is, they're very happy, and they're likely still not done partying.
I didn't know about that. 7 goals is a legit insane goal tally that you did just to get a promotion.
It's why I would love promotion relegation in the United States.
Why doesn't it happen? Why? MLS, get it done!
Yeah, the U.S. is built on a franchise model, right? So, you pay your way in, and when you pay your way in, no billionaire is going to be like, relegate me because my team's bad. No, if I go 0 for 16, it's because I wanted to go 0 for 16 in the NFL, So, whatever. Sorry, didn't mean to get off topic, but that story has just been sticking in my head the last couple of days, and I just needed to bring it up.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Rightfully so. I've gotta just say, I've got to mention Tiago Tomás, because what a goal that was against Bayern Munich. Like, Tiago Tomás adapting very well, in my opinion. Better at Stuttgart than at Sporting, and it's because that style of play in the Bundesliga fits him very, very well. So big up to Tiago Tomás. On loan until 2023 of June. So let's wait and see what's going to happen this summer, if he's going to stay on loan or not. And I got to talk about Tchouaméni, because Tchouaméni, I watched Monaco Lille. And yes, Lille didn't have Gnat Sanch. That for me was a huge loss for them. But Tchouaméni scored 2 goals, and he was doing everything for Monaco to secure a 2-1 win against Lille in a top 2 race that is crucial for Monaco to get that win. And with Tchouaméni, they did. So that's why I feel like any scout watching that has the answer to go get him straight away watching that Lille game. Like, I really don't think there's any doubts that Tchouaméni is a player that can play right now for Real, for Liverpool, for United, for City, for wherever. I
agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and he was, I don't know, like 10 games ago, if you were taking those 10 games as stock, you'd say, okay, he's a defensive specialist.
Exactly.
Right? He's a shuttler. He can mobilize. He can muck up the, I always say this, but he can do what these defensive midfielders are supposed to do, or these ball winners are supposed to do.
Rice.
For some reason, Tchouaméni said, okay, well, I can also do this. And he scores those 2 goals against Lille. One of those was a ridiculous pounder from, 22 yards out, 23 yards out? I mean, it was insane. To be honest, I didn't even know he had that in his toolkit. So I think the battle for him this summer, all I can say is that you better be happy, or at least those that are going to be paying the fee to get Tchouaméni better be happy that there is no World Cup this summer, because I feel like his price tag would just go up even more after this coming World Cup. So they better get it done this summer.
You think he starts next to Pogba, Tchouaméni?
I'm warming up to that. I am still of the full founded belief that France has to give. I don't care if it's Moussa Diaby as a late sub. I don't care if it's Tchouaméni in the midfield, but they need to give Nkunku. They need to give some of this young blood, some of this, like Christopher Nkunku can disappear in a game and then score the 85th and 87th minute winner in any game he's in. Right? He's great on set pieces. There's just so much that he can offer. The issue is that when you have a World Cup winner, it feels like it virtually cements a lot of names in an 18. And then if it doesn't work, out, you get deadpanned for not using those 18, trusty fellas that won you the World Cup. But they're going to need
even
to overcome the curse. Yes, Camavinga, exactly. That's who I was thinking of more than Nkunku. Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Diaby, and Nkunku are 4 that I think should be on the roster. Diaby probably won't be, but he is one that I think has been consistent. He's taken a step forward for Leverkusen this year, and I think he would be like a great late winger to put on, or somebody to be there that can pick up if Ousmane Dembele goes down with a busted leg, like happens every 5 games.
And with no more Wirtz, Diaby had to pull the strings, because I'm surprised with people often would just label him as a fast-paced winger that just does the runs, does what he's got to do, but he creates a lot. So I think Moussa Diaby's not like Leon Bailey. I feel like he's not gonna flop the next place he's gonna go, in my opinion. So whoever gets him, I feel like that worry that they had with Bailey, they don't need to have with Diaby, because Diaby, I feel like he's different breed. And you mentioned a ton of French players, and I want to mention the Wonderkids. I just ended off by saying that there is a release clause, okay? And I don't feel like it's the best career decision for Michael Olise, but I don't think Michael Olise is going to stay after this summer at Crystal Palace, because he's got a £35 million release clause, and I think that is going to be chat an awful lot, and someone will get him after this season's performances that were really, really good, okay? Michael Olise. But for me, I'd stay another season at Crystal Palace. But
I would too. I would too. It's kind of like I would love to see Fabio Carvalho stay one more season at Fulham in the Prem. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I feel that exact same way. Okay, Olise, maybe get him picked up by a bigger club. 8 million turned into 35. That's not a bad return for Palace.
True.
And then get him loaned back for the coming year and blood him in the Premier League again. Get him a full season because he was injured early on in the season. But yeah, Olise is a great shout, and he's one. While I think Cucurella has been better, he's definitely up there for newcomer of the year this year.
Put down below, people. Who do you think is the best newcomer of the year? And say it, Cucurella, Olise, go bold with those predictions. Any last mention, Breton?
Well, quick mention to, are we moving on or are we done? Because we got to mention just a couple league winners, right? Okay. Oh,
definitely.
I'm gonna first mention Nantes. Okay, Nantes is a team that last year almost got relegated. You recall, everybody probably knows this name. If you play FM, you definitely know this name. But Albin Lafont is their captain as of late, and he's their goalkeeper. Albin Lafont is still only 23 years old, and in my mind, he is still one of the best young goalkeepers on the planet. And they had a pretty decent year in League One after narrowly surviving relegation last season. They go into the Coupe de France final against Nice and Christophe Gaultier, and they get it done. Albin Lafont gets it done, and it's their first cup win or their first trophy in 20 plus years. So I just want to say kudos to Nantes for that. And then we got to go over to Switzerland pretty quickly because FC Zurich won their first title in 13 years. And while we can sit here and say that we know a lot about Swiss football, we don't. But what I do know is I love Willy Gnonto, an 18-year-old that was with Inter Milan, who wound up, I think, scoring 8 goals and 7 starts for them this season. If you're going to watch a team or you're going to watch a player for a team, it is not necessarily the cool thing to do, to leave Inter Milan, to leave Serie A, to go to the Swiss Super League, and make your name by helping a team win its first title in 13 years. And yet Willy Gnonto, and I might be saying his name wrong, he's doing it for them, so FC Zurich. Those are two I knew we probably wouldn't get to if I didn't force him in there because it's just cool. It's cool. New names. Yeah.
And you said it, and I got to talk about it. Like, Porto winning the league. Sorry for all the Porto fans. I got to mention it. 30th win in the league. And that match, man, that last winner against Benfica, Nelush, to manage to win the league against your biggest rivals. Big up to Porto. And Sérgio Conceição, okay?
Yes.
5 years, okay, already at Porto. He's got 3 league titles, 1 Taça de Portugal, and let's be honest, Porto has stayed at the top and are at the top with great management of Sérgio Conceição. And even before this season, I would be judgmental of Sérgio Conceição not playing the youth, but after this season, I cannot say that anymore because he played Vitinha and Fábio Vieira throughout the season, which were crucial for Porto to win the league. So big up to those 2 players. And I'm going to say a prediction just ended up too. Sérgio Conceição will be coaching in Serie A in the next 2-3 years. Do I know where? I don't. But he's for sure going to go to Italy after Porto because, the market, they for sure love a coach like him. Great management, makes all the decisions, plays in a good style of play for Italian football. Former player in Italy. So he's got history. He knows the managers. He knows the people involved in Italian football. So I for sure expect Sérgio Conceição to go. And I had to big up to Porto, man. Big up to Porto.
Yeah, and man, do they? It's. I'll be interested to see what happens with the guys that he brought along and gave chances this year. The Vitinhas, right? The João Marios. Who's the? You can say him a whole lot better than me. Fábio Vieira, of course. But really, what it comes down to for me, I'm all about. For some reason, on this episode 55, I am all about the feels. I got my Jose Mourinho feels. I got my Mark Cucurella scoring his first Premier League goal feels. And I got the father-son feels of Sergio and Chico, hugging it out afterwards, tears in both of their eyes, getting it done together. I mean, that's awesome.
That's what
that's
LeBron
awesome.
James
I have no
wants
other
it
way
to
to
happen.
I know.
What Francisco Sissoko and Sergio Sissoko did is the dream of LeBron James.
It is. It absolutely is. It is. It is probably for every father who's football mad and in coaching. It's just really, really, really cool. Now we'll see what happens with all those guys next year, because those are 4 ballers, right? Those are 4 young, really, really talented ballers. I know. You've been saying that, and it'll be interesting. I'll be watching him with bated breath over the coming months, because he's one that could do some damage elsewhere.
And
if he wants to,
especially when a World Cup is hitting in December, you got a bunch of these players that, if Vitinha's gonna get that spot, he's for sure. I think he's gonna. But let's wait and happen. Yeah. Put down below what you think is gonna happen with Vitinha, Fabio Vieira, all these Portuguese youngsters, and go for. Give your thoughts too on the Porto title winning. Sorry. Yeah.
And I gotta give just one more shout out before we end this.
Yes.
Celtic has not won yet. But they basically won. And yes, Jota. But not just Jota. I only know this guy as Big Ange, okay? Because he's a bigger soul. I don't know how to say his last name because it's Greek. He's like Greek and Aussie. Ange Postecoglou. Okay, he's the manager. He's the manager for Celtic. Okay, so he took over this team essentially after Rangers won the SPFL title, ended their bid to win, I believe it was 10 in a row, for the SPFL titles, and this guy goes in there, and instead of like buying the best talent in the SPFL, which is essentially what normally happened with Celtic teams. True. Okay, he goes, okay, where did I come from? I came from Yokohama. Right? First off, the stones for them to hire a J-League manager, I don't know. Someone deserves a pat on the back in the front office of Celtic, because that takes some real grit to do that. But not only that, Big Ange comes in and he brings in Kyogo Furuhashi. He brings in Daisen Maeda. He brings in Rio Hatate. He brings in Yosuke Ideguchi, who is yet to really have an impact. He brings in all these players from what he knows. He transplants them to the SPFL, and somehow he then translates the play. Lyle Labada from Israel. You've got Jota from Portugal. And he brings in this cultural melting pot, melds it up in Scotland, and they are on the verge of winning and winning back the title from Rangers. So they're definitely one of the more interesting teams to watch due to their makeup. But what he has gotten them to do is even more impressive, because you do that in any of the games, whether it's FIFA career mode or if Football Manager, they tell you there's too much roster turnover and your team winds up finishing dead last. But Furuhashi's got 17 goals. Maeda, 7 goals. Hatate, 4 goals, 3 assists, and 15 appearances. And he's one of my favorite players on that team. I just love what he's doing there. So shout out to Celtic for all the good stuff that you guys deserve right now, with a team that I'm sure all of you would have looked at and said, this is not a team I would have ever expected Celtic to have at any point. And here it is. So anyway,
and when you have the rival of Celtic going to a Europa League final, it's great to see like Celtic fans having something to hope on and to clinch on, and getting 7 million for Jota. 7 million for Jota. I am sure you're going to get a next transfer fee that is definitely going to put a good smile on those Celtic owners, because, he will not leave Celtic for 7 million. Starboy Jota. Great shout at the end. So, people, put down below what you think is going to happen with this rivalry of Celtic and Rangers, and go both. If we missed anything on episode 55, put down below in the comment section. Do not forget to like this video. It's a huge help for me and Bretson, because if you're here and you really like our content, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Oh my days.
That was long.